In Canton, and also special hello to our viewers in Cincinnati watching on WIII TV 64. I'm Scott Davis along with Steve Lake and Tom Canton down on the field. And Steve, you don't really need to set this one up. It needs no hype. These are the best two teams in Division I. It's only appropriate that they meet on the field to decide who's the state champ.
This is the rubber game also, as they've met in 1977, and Moeller won the state championship that time. The Cincinnati Moeller came to here and played them in 1981, and McKinley pulled the upset of the decade that time and won 12-0 and took the state title back to McKinley. This is the rubber match as these two teams meet for the third time in state tournament finals.
And it's been every 4 years. We elect a president every 4 years, and it seems like McKinley and Moeller meet for the state title every 4 years, 1977 and again in 1981 and now in 1985. Just about an hour ago, we broke up and we talked to both head coaches, and we also got Tom Canton to talk about the field conditions. So if we're ready, let's take a look at those interviews right now.
And here we are at Ohio Stadium. I'm Steve Lake along with the head coach of Cincinnati Moeller, Steve Clowney. And Coach, you've had a week to look at the films, and it's the big one.
Sure is.
What do you expect from McKinley? How have you, what have you seen in the films that you can key on?
Well, they're a real good football team. We're going to have to stop Percy Snow on offense, and they're a balanced attack, and we've got to stop the run and pass. Defensively, they're very quick. They're probably one of the quickest teams we've played next to Princeton. We've always had trouble moving the ball on the ground against them. We've played them, 3 or 4 times, and we know their defense is a challenge, and we're going to have to control the ball and take what they give us and stay on the football field and get in the end zone. And that's, we feel the key to the thing is getting it done right away.
Of course, everybody said your defense has been a little suspect this year. You've given up more points than most people are used to, and you've got a big hole to fill in Doug Bates.
We lost Doug Bates in the Troy game, and we have to move Jim Necht over there, and the other outside linebacker is Jim Russell. And they've had a good week of practice, and we feel, that they're going to play a good game.
Coach, one thing now, a lot of people talk about the Moeller mystique. How much is the male enrollment at Moeller?
1,020.
Okay, that dispels the rumor. Coach, good luck, and thanks a lot for coming by.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to Scott Davis along the sideline with Tom McDaniel.
I'm here with Canton McKinley head coach Tom McDaniels. Coach, the weather conditions in Canton and all the rain this week, did that hamper your preparation for this game?
No, it didn't. We went outside on 2 occasions.
Can you run that up the back of my coat?
And it was cold and wet, but we had good practices even in the Civic Center and the soccer turf, which was very much like this, so that didn't hamper us. We had a good practice, and we were twice in the Rubber Bowl. So the weather conditions are going to have nothing to do with the outcome of this football game.
Was there any difference, or do you feel there's a difference between the surface at the Rubber Bowl and this surface?
There's no question about it. This surface is much, much harder, and we seem to believe that this surface has better traction.
A lot's been written, talked about the strengths of the teams. Moeller's offense against the McKinley defense.
I think that's the apparent confrontation that people are going to examine and watch very, very closely. That is their apparent strength. They have great skilled people with great numbers, great statistics, and we've been denied by our defense pretty much. That's a tradition at McKinley. It has been for years.
But how about the other side of the coin? In 3 games, they've given up 30 points or more. Your offense, do you want to try to control the ball, keep it away from their high-powered offense?
That's not the apparent matchup, but that is the matchup that I think is going to determine the winner of the football game. Their defense against our offense, 2 units that may be overshadowed by another unit on his football team, another unit on our football team. But I think how well we play against his defense, how well his defense stops our offense, that's going to be the key to the winner in the football game.
You've been talking about your special teams, and we've been talking about it all year long. I'm sure you're looking for a big game out of your special teams.
Again, we rely upon them, and we haven't come this far to have them let us down at this point. They've got to come through.
There's been talk that the talent is even on both sides. So the question is, what will it boil down to if the talent is indeed even on both sides? Probably
a mistake at an inopportune time, a turnover, a fumble, a penalty that negates a big gain, something like that, if in fact the talent is equal.
Coach, all the best.
Thank you very much.
Let's go over now to the 50-yard line and Tom Canton.
On the field here at Ohio Stadium, the 50-yard line, the stadium's starting to fill up for today's game between the McKinley Bulldogs and the Cincinnati Moeller Crusaders. This is a stadium that's home for the Ohio State Buckeyes. The finals have been here for the last couple of years. Seating capacity 85,000 plus. built in 1922. The stadium originally held 66,000 people. The administration that originally built it was criticized because they never thought anybody would fill a stadium that size. On the dedication day in 1922, 77,000 people came to see the dedication game, so the administration was vindicated. This was an artificial it's an artificial surface right now with super turf. Originally in 1971 they changed from grass to artificial turf. That lasted 7 years. They then put the super turf on. As you can see the ball game throughout the day, you'll probably notice a lot of seams and sewing in the carpet. This carpet is about aged out. They say in 1985 or 86 they're going to put another carpet on here, probably super turf again. It's a very hard surface. Unlike last week where we had it at the Rubber Bowl, it was very soft. This is very like if you would just put indoor-outdoor carpeting on your patio. That would kind of give you an idea of how hard the surface is. It's got to take a toll on the knees and the ankles and the elbows of the players as they run and they fall on this turf. You're going to see a lot of elbow pads. You're going to see a lot of knee pads because this is a terrible rug burn out here. I saw some before the game from last week, and this week it's even going to be worse. As we look at the field conditions today for the weather, the open end of the stadium, which is to the behind the camera, the wind is blowing significantly from that direction. If you're moving toward the closed end, the wind is going to be a factor in your favor. Throwing the ball at the open end of the stadium this week is going to be very difficult. The kicking game is going to be very difficult, and I think the field position with regard to punts is going to really settle a lot of the offensive statistics for today's game. When you're on this kind of turf today, we watched some of the pregame practice on the punts. You're going to have to catch the ball on this surface. It's so hard that if you let it bounce, it's going to get away from you. So you're going to see him come up today to try and catch the football on the punts. If you let it go by, it's going to cost you 10, 15, 20 yards. As I look up, I see the clouds are going by. They say the rain, as the percentage of rain or the chance of rain has diminished substantially. I think we're going to get the ball game in without rain. At least I hope so. I'm going to kick it back up to Scott and Steve.
In defense of Tom, we did this about an hour before the game. Obviously, we're too high up in order to run back up here since that time. And we've had two very brief but very heavy downpours. Do you feel that's going to have a factor in this game?
This is state championship football. They're ready to play anywhere, anytime, in any weather circumstances, and I don't think the rain will be a factor. If it is, it's going to come and go. It looks as though we're going to have intermittent showers, and it's the same for both teams. These teams really match up very well. They both have the same kind of offenses, ball control offenses. Statistically, the Moeller team dominated on paper. One would say, why did McKinley even show up? But that's not the case. Bulldogs are tough in these kind of games, and they all belong here.
Look at the Moeller schedule up until their victory over Troy last week that we don't have there. But look at that high-powered offense, and that's what we've talked about. In fact, they're averaging per game 32 points. But look on the other side, too, for the McKinley fans. Gave up 42 points, 34 points. They're averaging giving up 2 touchdowns per game. Now, on the McKinley side, stingy defense, and you can see it. They're only giving up a touchdown per game. And offensively, they're averaging 23 points per game. And again, we don't have on there their victory last week against St. Joe's, 28-7. But we covered that game for the Canton stations. And, of course, it was a lot closer than that final score would indicate.
Oh, most certainly. They blew it open in the fourth quarter. For those armchair quarterbacks at home, there was one common opponent, which is unusual, and that was Lancaster. And Lancaster went to Cincinnati and got blown away 58-3. They came up to Canton. They got blown away 38-0. So, you know, even those statistics were equal. Both teams did what they should have done to a team that they should have beaten. So it's really, there's nothing to gauge it on. The one local opponent that local fans might get used to or know the name of is Akron St. Vincent St. Mary's, when McKinley didn't play him, but Moeller only beat him 12-7, which was much closer than people anticipated.
We talked about the teams. Let's look at the individuals. The leader of that offensive line is Trevor Riles, the center. He's an all-state candidate. What surprises me, Steve, about that, maybe not the greatest weight, no 250, 60, 70 pounders, but great height. 4 out of those 5 are 6'3" or 6'4".
That's a trademark for Moeller. I've seen him play in a state championship game back in the 70s, and they had a center that was 6'6", so they do like tall linemen.
Tom Bratton, they really use their tight end. He's averaging 2 catches per game. The leader, Hilvert, he doubles as the punter. He's a great, outstanding talent. Papes will alternate with Griffey on the other side. Schaffner, the quarterback, only a junior, but he's thrown for 1,500 yards, 17 touchdowns. Jackson, 1,200 yards on the ground. And Francisco, more than 500 yards, but he's averaging 7.5 yards per crack. A lot of talent in those skill positions.
This is, there again, another trademark for Moeller. Francisco is the younger brother of Hiawatha Francisco, who, of course, helped Moeller to a couple of state championships. Just so much talent at the skill positions, it's difficult to describe it sometimes.
McKinley defense, Kerry Brown, the leader at the nose, Jerome Perrin, potential all-stater. You could call him a defensive end, you could call him an outside linebacker, and both teams will do that. Their ends can go and cover pass receivers, or they can rush the quarterback. Good talent on both sides there.
McKinley's defense has gotten here in a 5-man front, 2 linebackers, with going into a 4-man look on passing plays. They don't do a lot of stunts. They rely on containing the outside people inside and letting the linebackers come and clean up, and boy, can they do it with those linebackers.
And Percy Snow, if he's not an all-state candidate, give us a live attest to all the sports writers and broadcasters selecting that team. He is a talent, and we understand Ohio State just one of many schools interested in his services. Wouldn't it be nice to have Chris Spielman and Percy Snow side by side?
Well, they'd love it back home in Canton.
No question about that. So we've taken a look at the Moeller offense, the McKinley defense. So let's take a look now. Let's turn the card around. This is the Moeller defense. And again, you may want to throw out the defensive end classification. They'll use 3 down linemen. Russell will drop off. He could be classified as a linebacker. Moeller's going to show a 40 look, a 50 look. They're going to try to confuse you with different looks on defense.
They play it relatively straight up, though. The key to their defense today, they have had a lot of problems on defense. As you saw in the earlier graphic, they let up 33 points, 34 points, 42 points. They're not a big, dominating defense. And they're missing Doug Bates, who's 6'2", 220, is a great linebacker, defensive end candidate, and probably one of the most highly sought-after players on the Moeller side. So they have a big hole to fill there.
In last week against Troy, Doug Bates will not play. Veda Murray will. He's the leader of the secondary, and he's averaging an interception per game. Now let's take a look at the McKinley offense. That offensive line, probably the leader there, number 70, Dean Brown, another All-Ohio candidate.
I saw Dean Brown walking before the game, and he was really ready. Dean Brown has got his work cut out for him, as do the rest of the offensive players for McKinley. They're not as big as Moeller up front, but they're very quick, and they've been doing the job all year. Don't forget, they've scored over 20 points a game and have been very effective in the playoffs.
Brian Chaney's thrown for 1,000 yards, and he's really come alive in the playoffs. Claxon Snow, a great 1-2 combination. Taylor, of course, related to the Taylor who played basketball, Troy Taylor at Ohio State for the fans down in Cincinnati way, and Perrin, another fine 2-way performer. Again, quality people in the skill position, and again, Percy Snow, the leader there. He's a great 2-way performer. I would classify him with Chris Spielman as the 2 finest I've seen on the high school level in terms of 2-way performers.
There's no doubt about it that the 2-way performers for McKinley are more prevalent than for Cincinnati Moeller. As Tom McDaniel said, he kind of upstaged me as I was ready to say, I thought the key was the McKinley offense. We know their defense can play. It's whether their offense can keep that defense rested and on the sidelines for good periods of time. They cannot afford to go out for 3 plays and punt every time, because you give the ball to the Moeller offense a little too often and they're going to burn you. McKinley has got to keep the ball on offense and control it, and Moeller, on the other hand, they want to get their defense up and stop that McKinley offense. So that's the key, Moeller's defense against McKinley's offense.
And also, and it sounds trite, but I think it's true, who can get on that scoreboard first? I think that's going to be very important.
Oh, no doubt about it. Moeller has just about killed everybody with interceptions, and this Veda Murray has 12 or 13. He dropped 7, and the reason for that is that everybody's behind him and they've got to throw the ball. The defensive line can tee off, force the quarterback to throw bad passes, and they're ready to intercept. So if you get behind Moeller and you have to throw the ball, Moeller is especially tough.
Well, as we saw in the graphic with the teams, McKinley's here because they beat the other fine team from Canton, Glen Oak. Then they went and took on the best team in Akron, Still Walsh Jesuit, beat them. Took on the best that Cleveland had to offer, St. Joe, and beat them. Moeller the same way. They took on the other great team, Cincinnati Princeton, and then the best that the Dayton area had to offer, Troy. They deserve to be here. They're going to settle it on the field. That's why we're excited, and we're glad to see you here too. We'll be back with the opening kickoff right after these words of interest. That's why we both have these, but it is a good overall perspective of the field, and you see the perspective from on the field as the Canton McKinley Bulldogs come out on the field. And Steve, an interesting point you made that we should make for this one, and that is that we may get some shots of the stands. Some of the fans have come back down, but because of the weather, a lot of the fans are up underneath the shelter, and we may not be able to pick them up with the camera, but we have an excellent turnout here for this state title game.
Well, there's probably in the neighborhood of 25,000 people here, and weather permitting, you know, you weren't going to keep those people away anyway. This has been a traditionally, it's such a big stadium, it often looks like there aren't very many people here, but for a high school game, they've done a fine job in drawing a crowd.
Canton McKinley clad in the red pants. They are the home team with the black tops and the white numbers and white helmets. And soon from the far side of the field, you'll see the Cincinnati Moeller Crusaders coming out onto the field. And here they come now. Cincinnati Moeller, Canton McKinley, identical records of 12-1. Of course, this is the extra week of the season, so to speak. Week number 14 in the last game.
You know, Scott, for those people who like the little difference or the intricacies of coaching, McKinley came out here roaring. They were ripping and jumping and ready to go. Crusaders came out there kind of quiet. They got in their little huddle. They waited for the coach. The coach greeted each and every player as they went through. And then after the warm-up, they exploded into action. It's kind of like building up to a crescendo. So there's a little difference in coaching styles and warm-ups.
Different philosophy, too. Let's take a look at the other games, and you can see the influence of defense. In Division II, Gallion over Youngstown Mooney. That game played on Saturday morning. The final score 6-0. Division III, that ball game played on Friday. Columbus DeSales over Orville in what turned out to be the closest of the four games. Final score 21-13. A lot of offense. A surprise to the folks in Stark County, not a surprise to the folks in Cincinnati. Cincinnati Academy of Physical Education. They've only been in existence 5 years. Their quickness proved to be too much for Aquinas. The final score there 27-0. And in Division 5, Newark Catholic accomplishing what St. Thomas had hoped to do, back-to-back state titles the last 2 seasons. Newark Catholic shutting out Delphos Jefferson. The final score there 19-0. What's interesting about Gallion winning in Division II, we talked about the extra week in the season. If it was not for the expanded playoffs, Gallion and Mooney would not be there. They both finished either 3rd or 4th in their region, so they wouldn't have even qualified under the old format. So it proves that, at least in one case out of 5, yes, the expanded playoff format does work.
Well, I think it added interest to the playoffs. It certainly gave us a better look at more teams this year in our playoff coverage, and I think it's probably one of the best moves they've made in high school football in this area.
All right, ready for action now. The McKinley Bulldogs will kick off, and Moeller will move from left to right. Let's take a look at who's back deep. Hilbert, number 88, is one of those young men, along with number 2, Ken Griffey. They will be the twin safeties. Mark Smith, number 14. We had a great game kicking off last week at the Akron Rubber Bowl against Cleveland St. Joe's. Sit back, relax, and enjoy. Live from Ohio Stadium in Columbus, the Division I state title game, and Mark Smith booms it, and it goes out of the end zone, and Moeller will take over 1st and 10 at the 20.
That's the best kickoff return there is, Scott, as Smith boomed it through the end zone. I believe that's about his 4th or 5th in a row since last week in the Rubber Bowl, and the wind is behind him. We want to remind you of that, and the coaches told us that Smith kicked a 53-yarder in practice today, so they're not going to be afraid to kick a field goal.
Now the kicking game may come to pass, and both teams with excellent field goal kickers. Coming wide to the bottom of the screen is Hilbert, their leading receiver. Baxon and I, everyone else in tight. The deep man is Jackson, Francisco the up man. Long count by Schaffner. The pitch is to Jackson. Percy Snow with a hand, he breaks that, and he's up over the 20, and they'll mark it at the 23-yard line.
Just I-formation football for Moeller as they feel out the first play. McKinley opened in a 6-man front, and they've done that before. Moeller in their standard offense. This is I-formation with Hilbert split one way or the other.
Dave Smith in on that tackle. Dave Smith picked off a screen pass against St. Joe's in one of the key plays in that game and ran it back and set up a McKinley touchdown. 2nd and 6. Again, a long count by Schaffner, number 15, the junior quarterback. Once again, this is Jackson, a big hole. Watch out. It's off to the races. And he's in for the touchdown. A 76-yard touchdown.
course, Jackson's been doing this all year as he was the leading rusher for the Crusaders. And what we saw was an I formation play to the weak side or the way from the flanker. And take a look at Jackson. Now you're going to see McKinley's a little bit of a flex there. Everybody gets caught inside with a block down. Here comes Jackson. You're going to see a nice move right here to get outside. And then it's off to the races. McKinley in hot pursuit. And there's one player that has a shot at him. He was a little harassed a little bit. And Jackson scored it in the end zone. Excellent run.
Machado on to try the extra point. And it's good. 11:10 to go, first quarter. Moeller 7, McKinley nothing. Association does not allow for television timeouts. And we are back now. They brought the ball on the return up to the 39-yard line. And McKinley will take it there, 1st and 10. Percy Snow with it. Not much yardage.
Snow really hit a wall there as they came out in a T formation and just ran a little bit off tackle, and Moeller was ready for it. We wanted to mention the long touchdown play. Credit the block on Tom Bratton, the Moeller tight end, as he came down and just cleared out about 3 McKinley players on that block down.
56, Jim Netkin on that stop. Let's call it a gain of 2. 2nd down and 8 now with the ball on the 41. Perrin is in the slot. Taylor wide to the bottom of the screen, and McKinley back to throw. Cheney, he's got Perrin, and Perrin is across the 45 into Moeller territory at the 44.
That's one of the new wrinkles that we were told about prior to the game, where the coach, this time they turned Perrin out and up, and they turned Clax coming out of the backfield away from him. You'll see a good pass right here by Cheney as he turns it upfield, and then he finally is met by the, well, he tripped up on his own. He would have been met by a couple of Moeller players if he'd have kept going.
Now Jim Russell had the coverage on that, outside linebacker number 80. 1st and 10, the Bulldogs trying to come back. The only lightning we've seen in this game so far by Cincinnati Moeller. This is Richardson, number 49. He gets around the corner, and he's bumped out of bounds. Veda Murray, the safety, came up to make the tackle.
You know, the coaches before the game said 1 touchdown, 2 touchdowns. These teams are not having any problems moving the ball right now. And this is exciting. I think that's good football. Richardson, of course, in there for his speed to get outside.
I think the fans still love to see high-scoring game.
So do the broadcast.
Coaches, I'm not so sure about that. 2nd down. Give Richardson a gain of 5 with the ball on the 40-yard line. Give us to the up man, Snow, and he's got good yardage. And he's down to the 32.
That's the play that got McKinley here, as they love to run that quick opener, the quick hitter off Snow. Sometimes they have a little trap in the middle. Sometimes they just run it straight on. That time Moeller was in there 4-4, and they just caught Snow right in the right place at the right time.
Chip Carney, a 6 foot, 204-pound senior, number 59, in on that stop. It's another 1st down for the Bulldogs. Ball spotted on the Moeller 32. 9 minutes, 20 seconds to go, 1st quarter. The Crusaders lead the Bulldogs 7-0. This is a toss back to Richardson. They're stringing it out well, and he won't get much. Down to the 30, give him a gain of 2. Carney again among those in on the tackle.
This is a little bit different for McKinley, as they're going outside more often at the beginning of the game than they did last week. Take a look at Richardson on the pitch back now. On the I formation, Snow leading the blocking, and you can see Moeller does an excellent job in stringing this out. There's Hunter, number 4, coming up, and Richardson just barely gets ahead for about a 2-yard gain.
2nd down and 8 now. Spot the ball on the 30-yard line. Wideouts to both sides. Running backs are split. The give is to Clax, and he's going to lose some yardage.
He might have just got back to the 30.
Tony Dawson, Larry Rytel. Dawson, you and I talked about, 245 pounds, their biggest defensive lineman.
Well, he plays the nose, he plays the middle on that 4-4. He moves over, not a nose tackle. And he came across, and somebody, I think, missed a block on that crossover.
Call it no gain on the play, and this will bring up what should be an obvious passing situation, but you never know, as we've learned in following the Canton McKinley Bulldogs.
Well, they got man-to-man coverage with
and Taylor to
Murray
the top
coming
of the
over to
screen.
help.
We'll bring it out to the running back, and Cheney just let Clax a little too much. Coverage on the play by number 40, Nyert.
A little bit of a different look there as they flooded the right side with 3 receivers. Taylor going deep, Perrin in the flat, and Clax coming out of the backfield into the flat, and it just didn't have a lot of time to develop.
Now we're going to see the strong right leg of Mark Smith. He has hit 4 out of 6, his long for the year 41.
This is going to be 42 yards.
He has this capability. Nice snap. Ball is down.
Looks
the
like
kick
he's
is
got
away. And it's good. 7:47 to go. The score, Moeller 7, McKinley 3.
Tom Canton, can you hear me down there?
Again, Steve.
He had quite a bit of leg on this. It looked like it would have gone 50 yards if he wanted it to.
Well, I think you got a good perspective there on just how steady the wind is. Flags are stiff. Anything going right to left is really going to get a lot of help.
2nd and 8 call now. Ball on the 22-yard line. Running backs in an eye. Hilbert wide to the top of the screen. Toss back. This is Jackson. Little had him, but he got by, and he's up over the 30 to the 31-yard line.
Jackson, the ball carrier.
McKinley changed up their defense a little bit as they moved into an even front with a man on either side of the center. Prior to that, they had been slanting the tackles. You're going to take a look here as here's the pitch now, and watch, some people are getting caught inside. Okay, there's Claxis. He almost got him. There it comes right there. And here's finally the rest of the McKinley Bulldogs.
Dave Williams among those on the tackle, number 24. First down for Cincinnati Moeller. The inside handoff to Francisco. He didn't get much.
Same defense, and this time Francisco ran right into the strength of it. Those 2 middlemen corralled him.
Quentin Jackson among those in on the tackle. Jackson 4 carries for 90 yards, but of course a lot of that real estate, the long touchdown, some would call it 76, some 77 yards.
He's an exciting runner and a scary runner if you're a defensive coach.
6:23, 6:22 to go. Moeller leading the Bulldogs 7-3, both teams scoring on their first offensive possessions. Flags all over the place.
I didn't see the penalty. Looks like Tom Canton. Did you catch the penalty down there?
Yeah, the right end just kind of made a false start. Just kind of flinched.
Okay, McKinley switched defenses. They were in a 6-man front, and then they had one of the linebackers drop back into their 5-3, or 5-2 rather, and that, I don't think that was a factor in them jumping, but it's something that we can look for later in the game to see if McKinley continues to do that.
On a 2nd and 14 call, McKinley takes out one of their defensive tackles, Mike Smith, and puts in an extra defensive back, Devon Torrance, number 45. So the Bulldogs on this 2nd and 14 call are looking for Moeller to put the ball in the air. And they have 2 wideouts, Pates and Hilbert. To each side, running backs in the eye. Again, long signal count, could be an audible. Back to throw is Schaffner. He throws, the man is open, and Bratton could not hold on. Big tight end that you mentioned, Steve, had such a great block on the touchdown on the coverage, Percy Snow.
Pass is just a little bit behind him. It was open and the ball was delivered on time. You're going to see it now. The pass is just a little bit on his right hip as it's a roll out to the right there. Good throw. See, right a little bit behind him on the hip, away from his momentum, and it would have been a completion had he held on to it, of course, and maybe enough for first down or close to it.
Now 3rd and long, 14. Ball on the 26-yard line. One wide out to the bottom of the screen, and back to throw is Schaffner. The pressure is on, and Jerome Perrin has him, and he's down.
Credit that to the backfield for McKinley as they covered the 2 receivers that were out, and they just didn't give Schaffner enough time to set up and throw. Straight drop back that time. And you're going to see the pass rush close in around from behind him as Perrin gets taken out of the play. Schaffner sees he can't get rid of it. Here comes Perrin again with Jackson to put the finishing touches on.
Kerry Brown, credit him with some pressure, number 28. So Hilbert is ready to punt. The deep of the 3 men, Chris Clax, has done an excellent job and has several touchdowns returning punts, and a great punt.
He's got room,
by
though.
Hilbert. Fumbles it on his own 35, and he lost it, and Moeller has it. A key mistake by Canton McKinley,
just a case of looking downfield. He had almost the punter outkicked the coverage. He had a lot of time, and I think he took a look downfield before he caught it.
A 40-yard kick, and you'll see it here. And watch King, number 16. He'll be the young man who will be Johnny on the spot. Right there.
That's why it's shaped that way. You never know which way it's going to bounce.
Well, another opportunity for the Crusaders. And they're going to try to take advantage of it quickly. They fake the ball to the running back. He has all sorts of time to throw, and it was almost intercepted. Alex Bates.
Well, Perrin came up and picked up the receiver coming out of the backfield, and Shafter wisely did not throw the football, and then he had all kinds of time because they were playing the screen or the out pattern, and he couldn't find a receiver. Probably should have thrown it out of bounds because that was almost 6 points.
Yeah, McKinley had that play defense very well, as you see it, and as we talked about in the pregame show, this is the third state championship meeting between these two teams, each team with a victory. Moeller in 77, the Bulldogs in 81. Right here, 1985, 4:34 to go first quarter, 2nd and 10, and Moeller leading 7-3. This is Jackson. Jackson again with a hole, and he'll bring it down to around the 20-yard line. Dave Smith from his defensive tackle position. They'll mark it on the 21.
Moeller played against that 4-3. McKinley dropped into a 4-3 defense, and they had the two middlemen on the inside gap of the center, and Moeller just seems to be calling the right plays at the right time as they got outside with not too much of a problem.
Well, Tony Jackson showing why he is such a quality running back with more than 1,200 yards on the season. I'm sure he's approaching, if not over, the 100-yard mark already in this ball game. 1st and 10. Ball on the 21-yard line of the Bulldogs, and once again, this is Jackson, and Percy Snow brings him down, a gain of about 4.
What's happening is that McKinley is in a 4-man front, a 4-3, and Moeller is getting one-on-one blocking, and they're doing a good job. They're getting their back picked up the linebacker coming through, and Jackson got outside, and Snow had to come over and clean up the play.
Jackson over 100 yards. Ron Fraley telling us 7 carries, 107 yards. Moeller leading this ball game 7-3, and they're knocking on the door once again. Inside, and the Bulldogs seem to be able to handle that inside running game.
That's because of the tackles are inside the guards or head up the guards, and that's the heart of the defense. They have a linebacker there also. This is the first time I've seen McKinley in a 4-3 for this extended a period of time.
That was Francisco. And there's an official timeout as they're
Just
looking at one of the Bulldogs. Looks, yeah, like an equipment adjustment. And they're going to bring it right back into play, so we will keep it right here.
Your intermittent shower's back, Steve.
Rain coming down again, Tom?
Yeah, Steve's intermittent shower has reappeared.
All right.
You're the weatherman.
Down to 3 minutes to go in the first quarter. This is a 3rd and 3 call, and it looks like Perrin went offside. Let's see if he was drawn off. Tom, did you get a look at it from ground level?
I think he just broke the play, and it's going to be offside defense.
The
McKinley that
heartbreaker.
time got into 5-man front, which is more traditional for them. And Perrin obviously had a little trick because he was going inside the tight end, trying to get across the line of scrimmage.
2 mistakes in the same drive now.
Yeah, and this is something that these two teams are so good, you can't afford to make a mistake like that.
It's better to get them out of your system, though, in the first quarter and hope that they don't score too often because there's a long way to go yet.
Yeah, that'll give Moeller 1st and goal with the ball at the 9-yard line. We're inside 3 minutes here in the first quarter. Crusaders lead 7-3. Schaffner rolling out, looking for a receiver. He's got him, and he's down to about the 1-yard line. That's Ringgold, the 2nd tight end. He's a good one.
He came over from the left side. He comes underneath from the left side, as Schaffner did an excellent job in ball control here. He rolls out to the right, and you're going to see Ringgold come over from the left side, crossing over, and he made sure he caught it even though it was behind him. Puts his seat down on the 1-yard line.
As you saw there, he was wide open, and Moeller has no less than 5 quality receivers they can throw the ball to. Certainly that puts some pressure on the defense. 2nd and goal, ball at the 1-yard line, tight formation. And we're going to have a delay of game against Moeller.
Boy, when you're 1 yard away, you certainly don't like to start off 6 yards away before you snap the ball. And there again, maybe just a case of the jitters or not realizing what the time element was, but this is certainly a break for McKinley. And Moeller coaches probably can't be too unhappy with, though it's our first mistake in this quarter so far.
So the ball will go back to the 6-yard line now. There's 1 minute and 57 seconds to go. Plenty of action here in this first quarter. 77-yard touchdown run by Jackson for Moeller, a 47-yard field goal by Mark Smith for Canton McKinley. Baxter and I, one wide receiver to the top of the screen. They give it to Jackson. There's a hole. And he was met head on in a good defensive play. And that's Chris Clacks getting up from the bottom of the pile.
Chris Clacks did a nice job. He was joined by Bates over there. And you're going to see now it's just they finally get the number of this play here as Snow turns it inside coming over. And finally McKinley meets him. But he did pick up 2-3 yards on the play. And that's, that's credit to the runner.
Alex Bates with an assist on that tackle. 126-125 to go first quarter. Big play, 3rd down and goal with the ball on the 3-yard line. They'll try to run it with Jackson. McKinley stringing it out. And he's in for the touchdown. Great individual effort by Jackson. Now McKinley saying he did not get in. But he did. What counts, the officials. I'd love to see that one on the replay, Steve.
Well, I was just about, McKinley saw something as they brought number 37, get a little over from the other side, and he was right in the heart of the play. You're going to see him come over from the right side all the way over to the left side to help out here. He was behind Snow, and he did break the play, and the ball is laying on his arm, which is in the end zone, and super effort by Jackson.
Extra point by Pashada is up and good. There's 1 minute 9 to go. We're going to pause for 60 seconds with the score. Cincinnati Moeller 14, Canton McKinley 3. On the kickoff, again, Moeller kicking the ball on the ground, and Perrin picked it up and brought it back to around the 30. Tim Jennings, number 31, in on the tackle for the Crusaders, and McKinley finds himself now on the short end of a 14-3 count. We talked about how explosive Moeller's offense is, and you can see it right on the scoreboard. Could be a big series for the Bulldogs to try to break some of this momentum. Cincinnati Moeller so very impressive in the early going. Ball is out and caught by Taylor, and he is down. Brian Williams, the cornerback, on the tackle.
Moeller is crashing from the offside. You'll see the defensive man on the left side of the top of your screen coming hard as he's trying to break that up. Cheney does a good job getting rid of the football, and Taylor did a better job catching it as he was in a lot of traffic, and that set up a 2nd and 2, which is where the coaches want to be on 2nd down.
Billy Brooks comes in for Taylor and brings in the play to quarterback Brian Cheney.
Big series for the Bulldogs on this one.
Darrell Williams, number 99, is in, a down lineman for Cincinnati Moeller, replacing one of the linebackers. It's to the second back, Richardson, and he is down. Weiss on the tackle.
Short of the 1st down, I believe, as Moeller did a nice job coming out of that 4-4 and closing down the outside.
These two starting lineups are dominated by seniors. There are 2 junior starters for Moeller, 4 for McKinley, and Jeff Richardson, who's seen a lot of action at tailback the last few games. He's only a sophomore. It must be quite a thrill for him.
Oh yeah, being at Ohio Stadium and all that in the big one. I'm sure that they'll have a bigger thrill, though, if they get this 1st down. Moeller's been playing excellent defense, Scott.
And that's the end of the first quarter of play. We're going to pause for 60 seconds with the score. Cincinnati Moeller 14, Canton McKinley 3. A 3rd and 1 call, and great second effort by Percy Snow. Great second effort by Percy Snow will give the Canton McKinley Bulldogs a 1st down. Tim Markley, the inside linebacker, number 57 on the stop.
Well, 3rd and 1, you could have bet the mortgage that Snow was going to carry the football, and he did a nice job on second effort, as Moeller did stop him initially short of the 1st down.
Well, they take out their short yardage offense now and put in their 2 starting wide receivers. Perrin will operate off the wing, and Taylor going wide, one-on-one coverage to the bottom of the screen. You see the backs in a tight eye formation, and Cheney will roll. Brewer blocking out in front. The ball is tipped and almost intercepted. That's Veda Murray, the intended receiver, Jerome Perrin.
Veda Murray is the pickoff artist. He's 6'4", 195 pounds, and turns in a 4.5 40. So he plays center field back there, and that's his job, is to see if he can pick off the ball. He comes out of free safety. You're going to see him come right across and almost tip this ball. here comes Mr. Murray at 6'4", and the ball was really well thrown, and I think that was a little bit of a distraction for Perrin as Murray went by him.
Well, that'll bring up now a 2nd and 10 call. And if you're just joining us, you've missed a lot of action. Moeller with 2 touchdowns by Tony Jackson. McKinley, 47-yard field goal by Mark Smith. It's 14-3 Moeller, 11:25 to go in the first half. And we have another flag. Tom Canton, can you pick that one up?
Another delay of game, Scott.
What's the mood along the McKinley sideline? You're on that side. Can you tell us about it?
Yeah, it's pretty quiet over here. I think they're a little unhappy with the nose. They allowed Moeller to come down the field there. They fumbled a punt. Then on 3rd and long, they gave him the first down. I might want to say it again. The balls are getting very wet. It's wet along the sidelines. When they come off the field, they have to take them over to this heater, and that's how they're drying them. The ball boys have too much to do to dry them off with a rag to get them dry enough. Each team has 3 game balls and a kicking ball, and they're trying to keep them dry at all costs.
Stay warm, my friend. Stay dry if you can. 2nd down, 15 yards to go. Moeller 2 penalties for 10 yards. There's a big hole for Chris Clax. Clax over midfield and inside Moeller territory. Carney among those then on the stop.
Okay, Snow went in motion for the first time, and he lunged forward. I'm not so sure he intended to do it, but it looked good. You see Snow in motion. Here comes Clax. Good trap blocking, and once you give Clax an open field, he's a danger to run for good yardage.
That was a 16-yard gain, and actually Brian Williams came across from his secondary position to make the stop. Each team with 2 penalties for 10 yards. We're at the 11-minute mark to go, 1st and 10, with the ball on the Moeller 46. They give us to Snow, fighting for yardage, gets into the secondary and down to the 38-yard line.
For those of you who saw the field goal in the first quarter, they're going to have to get it probably 10 to 15 yards closer to attempt one going into the open end of the stadium here, as the wind and the rain are coming from that direction.
Carney and Russell, a pair of linebackers, in on the stop there. 10 minutes, 30 seconds to go. Moeller 14, McKinley 3. 2nd down, 2 yards to go with the ball on the Moeller 38-yard line. Pitch back is to Richardson. And he is down, and the ball is loose, and it goes out of bounds.
Big break for McKinley, as number 19 for Moeller came across, fought off the lead block, and made a great play to stop Richardson before he got anything turned upfield. You're going to see it here. The Moeller outside man coming up, that's number 19 there, takes off the block and forces the play inside. The second man causes the fumble, and the ball, fortunately for the Bulldogs, bounced out of bounds.
Steve Weiss, number 96, give him credit on that fumble. Brian Cheney wants a timeout, and he will get it. The Bulldogs facing a 3rd and 4 call. We're going to pause for 60 seconds with the score. Cincinnati Moeller 14, Canton McKinley 3. 3rd and 4, ball on the 40, inside handoff to Snow, and he won't get it. Now number 80, Jim Russell, was in on the play, but the man who really made things happen on that play looks like number 40, Nyard, another one of the down linemen.
Obviously, under normal circumstances, well, here are normal circumstances, they're going to punt. I thought they'd go for it on 4th down, but they're going to try to pin Moeller back in their own end zone and get some field position. And this is a big punt, and of course it'll be a big defensive series for McKinley.
Well, the Bulldogs have been hurt by their own mistakes. There's a fake to the up man, Mike Smith, and he's got the first down, and a great call by head coach Tom McDaniels.
Well, see, great minds travel in the same path. I didn't think he was going to punt, but I wasn't gutsy enough to call the fake. It was to the up man, Smith, who's normally a tight end. He took it off the right side and picked up enough for the first down. And credit the McKinley offense for not quitting on themselves on that 4th down play.
You both had the right idea, just a little different way of doing it. King again, his 2nd big play on the special teams for Moeller, stopping that without any further damage, but it does give McKinley a 2nd life on this drive. 1st and 10 with the ball on the 31, 9:18 to go. Bulldogs trail 14-3. Cheney downfield, the ball is caught by Perrin, one man to beat, he got the block, but there'll be a clip on the play on Juan Taylor.
But not a good call.
Tom Canton.
He was sealed off. The blocker had the guy sealed off, and the referee was trailing the play on the wrong side. He called a clip. That's not a clip.
Now the McKinley coaches agree with you, Tom. I can see the reaction.
I think if we pick it up on the replay, we might see exactly what Tom Canton was talking about here, as the Taylor was coming back and the Moeller player had turned his back. He was sealed off. As you see Murray going for the interception, Here comes Perrin heading for the left corner of the end zone. And you see, if his head was on the other side, they wouldn't have called it a clip. His head was on the outside or the inside of the field, and they called it a clip. Now we've got a discussion between the two officials, and I'm wondering if they're not going to negate that. No, they're going to walk it back. That was a close call.
I don't think the blocker, Steve, had any opportunity to do anything else. He just basically stood where he was as the play went by him.
Well, Dean Brown and
They
Brian
still get
Cheney.
the first down, though.
Brown and Cheney trying to fire up the Bulldogs. Let's see how they come back from this piece of adversity.
Tom Canton, we had our first look at a little controversy.
Right in front of me.
Well, the ball now back on the 19. And the pitch back goes to Richardson. Again, Moeller stringing it out very well. And let's see who's in on the tackle. Carney, the linebacker.
One of the reasons why McKinley's having such a difficult time getting outside is because of Greg Henry, the Moeller outside man, as he comes across hard on line of scrimmage, and sometimes he blows past the blocker. He turns the play inside a little bit too soon for McKinley's liking, and he's been doing an outstanding job on the outside. Greg Henry for Cincinnati Moeller.
Well, it's raining hard enough now that they are covering the ball between plays. Let's see if that'll be a factor. A 2nd and 9 call with the ball on the Moeller 18. Back to throw is Cheney. He's looking for Gar Brown, and it's through his hands. Ball was a little high.
Greg Henry again outside this time on the coverage, and he really wasn't open. He had to put it up where only Brown could get it, and Cheney overthrew him a little bit.
Now the Bulldogs had a touchdown call back, and they'll want to at least get 3, and probably would love to get 7 out of this to bring it back to within 4, 14-3. Tom Canton, is it raining or is it snowing or a little bit of both?
Yeah, I'm going to change Steve's forecast from intermittent showers to intermittent downpours. As you mentioned, they are covering the ball. It's getting a little bit wet down here.
3rd down and 9. The ball between the 17 and 18-yard line. Cheney is back. Pressure on by Nyard, and Cheney forced to throw it away.
The way Moeller sets up their defense, and you can see why Beta Murray has so many interceptions. He just plays free safety back there. He doesn't even cover anybody as he's watching the quarterback's eyes. And here's the pass rush there. Cheney rushes the pass, and you can see it wasn't as close as it looked initially.
Mark Smith now with another field goal attempt. Looks like about 35 yards. Tom Canton, what about the wind on this one?
This wind is blowing stiff right in his face. I think it's probably, he's got enough leg to get there. I think he's at about maximum distance, though.
35-yarder. It's up, and it's no good. No good. There's the timeout on the field. We'll pause for 60 seconds. 8:22 to go first half. Moeller 14, McKinley 3. First play, Tony Jackson gaining 3, and on 2nd down, once again, it's Jackson. He'll be short of the 1st down in the game up to this point. 115 yards, averaging 14 per carry, and of course that inflated by the great 76-yard touchdown run.
Well, he's a quality runner, and like we said, we've seen great runners all over Ohio, and he's one of them.
Add him to the list, no doubt about it. 7:17 to go. This is a 3rd and 7 call.
Double coverage on Hilbert.
And he is the only wideout. Inside handoff, and they'll be short of the 1st down.
A little close to the vest there for Moeller, as they did not want to throw. They had the wind behind them. They certainly was not the wrong time to throw, but they decided to try to catch him off guard with a quick hitter up the middle and hope for a 1st down. McKinley held, and that's going to give him a little bit of a lift now.
Percy Snow on the tackle of Francisco.
One thing you want to mention, Moeller's punter only stands back about 11 yards, and we can look for a block attempt maybe later on.
Hilbert averaging about 34 yards. That may be deceiving, though. He's a good coffin corner specialist, according to the Moeller coaching staff.
They were going for that one.
Dave Williams almost had it. This is Clax at about his own 37. Up to the 40 and down at the 45. Give him 8 yards on that return.
We didn't have to wait till later on to go for the block, as McKinley Smith almost blocked the ball, but the punter did an excellent job in getting rid of it quickly.
Brian Clark on the tackle. So McKinley will set up shop. Clock moving. 6:22 to go in the 1st half. And really, I guess, Steve, the story of this game, not only the explosiveness of Moeller, but also the fact that McKinley's made some mistakes. They're beating themselves at times.
Tom McDaniel said it would come down to that before the game.
From the 45-yard line. The give is to Clax. He tries to get outside, and a very good open field tackle by Neck, the linebacker.
Neck did an excellent job as he was initially faked, and it looked as though he wasn't going to make the tackle, but he hung on. I got a little Veda Murray trivia for you. He is a distant relative to former Cincinnati Red great Veda Pinson, and that's why he's named Veda.
Of course, there's another young man, and I don't know if Ken Griffey, the Moeller player, is related to Ken Griffey, the former Reds outfielder, now with the Yankees. 2nd down and 10 with the ball on the 45-yard line. How can we get baseball in this weather? There's a second back through. Richardson, he breaks a couple tackles, and he's inside the 45-yard line of Moeller for a 1st down.
They list him at about 171 pounds. I've said it before, I don't believe it, but he showed excellent strength here as he fights his way through the line of scrimmage. There's a trap block there by the pulling guard, and here's Richardson, and he fights off a couple of blocks there. He got slowed up enough to stop, picked it up again, and brought it down, 1st down.
He has shown on that 11-yard pickup surprising strength, as he showed last week against Cleveland St. Joseph in a game that you folks in Canton had the opportunity to see live here on TV 67. A 1st down call again to Richardson, and again he carries a couple tacklers with him, and he'll bring it down inside the 40, and they'll mark it around the 37. Tom Canton, the wind is really swirling up here in the press box area. How about on the field?
Yeah, easy for you guys to say.
At least we've got a roof over our heads.
You've got that cushy job by the heater. I saw it.
Yeah, you're right. It's really gusting. It's raining now as hard as it has all day long.
Coming up on a 2nd and 4, a gain of 6 for Richardson. The inside handoff to Percy Snow, and nothing doing. Russell will be among those cleaning up, and really it was the initial thrust by Nyert, number 40, and Markley, number 57 from Moeller.
Nyert did an excellent job for Moeller coming across and stopping Snow at the line of scrimmage. You'll see him come across there into the gap. There's plenty of Moeller players around, and Snow is really hung out to dry here on this one.
This will bring up a 3rd and 4 call, and we're down to just over 4 minutes to go in the 1st half. 1st down that the Bulldogs need. They trail 14-3. Got Taylor wide to the top. They're shifting the tight end Smith to the top, and they have Perrin on the wing. Strong formation left, and what do? Run to the right with Jeff Richardson, and he is carried out of bounds. And in on that stop is Reitel.
Tom, did they spot that right on the 35?
Right on the line, Steve. It's going to be a little short.
So he's got about a 1 yard to go.
I don't think there's any doubt they're going to go for it.
Now, with this much time left and Mr. Snow coming into the game, they're going to go for it.
Chris Clax also coming back in for Jeff Richardson, who has done very well in his limited time out there. Splitting time with Clax. 4th down call to Snow. He looks like he's got it from here.
You can see from the far sideline the official standing just over the 38.5 yard line, which is more than enough for the 1st down.
Tom, how many times have you seen that in the course of our last 3 or 4 ball games that we've done?
Well, you know, it seems like his forte is to get up and over the stack. I want to say this, Richardson has, in fact, really shown so far it might be a result of the Moeller defense really keying on Clax and Snow and really not knowing Richardson exists.
Well, Richardson, 8 carries, Ron Fraley tells me, for 28 yards, 3.5 yard average. 3:30 now to go 1st quarter. This is a 1st and 10 call, and this is Richardson. He is down to the 30-yard line. Carney among those in on the stop. And Markley, the inside linebacker. Carney playing on the outside.
The Moeller defense has done just about everything their coaching staff could hope for, as they've been able to contain the McKinley offense enough to keep, just to keep McKinley off balance. The McKinley defense has been on the field a lot, and I'm sure they're playing the Moeller game plan.
2nd and 7 with all on the Moeller 30-yard line, and McKinley has 2 minutes and 56 seconds to try to put some points on the scoreboard. Back to throw is Brian Cheney, looking for Taylor in a comeback pattern, and it's thrown incomplete on the coverage. Williams and Murray.
That time, McKinley normally likes to send 2 receivers to the same side, one inside, one outside. That was one of the new wrinkles that the coaching staff mentioned us before the game. They had Perrin on the left and Taylor on the right, and they both ran to our side of the field on turn-ins. Perrin ran a turn in and Taylor ran a turn out, and that's why he threw it over his head, because it wasn't open for one reason.
Clax is out. Richardson is in on this 3rd down now and 7 with the ball on the 30. 2 minutes, 50 seconds to go first half. They'll keep it on the ground to Richardson. Breaks a couple tackles, still on his feet, and down inside the 20-yard line. A great individual effort. 11 yards on that gain.
This young man could end up with a game ball if he keeps playing like this. He's done a good job in good hard yardage situations, and he's not that big. As they say, they list him 171 pounds. You look for yourself as you compare him to the others. Great block in there by Perrin. And he's finally brought down from behind. Good pursuit by Moeller, however, to keep him from going places.
Williams and Rytel on the stop. He broke 3 tackles en route to that 11-yard gain and a first down. Ball now on the 19-yard line. They give us to Richardson inside. He gets a couple. Some good line blocking right at the line of scrimmage.
That time, all of the Moeller defensive linemen closed down to their left, and of course, poor Mr. Richardson, he was running right to where they were supposed to be, and that's why that play didn't go anywhere.
Nyerton on the stop. It is really blowing up here in the press box.
How much is that coat worth, Scott?
A lot.
Scott volunteered his coat to cover the monitor as it's really raining on top of us, and we're in a press box.
Down to 1:55 now, 2nd down and 7. Ball's on the Moeller 16-yard line. Fumble on the snap.
Moeller signaling they've got it. Tom Canton, you got it?
I think Moeller's got it.
Moeller, Cincinnati Moeller recovers.
3rd mistake.
Jim Russell looks like he has the football, and boy, the Bulldogs once again beating themselves.
That could have been a case of a wet ball. It was on the exchange, and Cheney just couldn't get down to get on it. And Moeller, of course, on the spot, as they've been all through this game.
We're down to 1:30 to go. Moeller with the ball on their own 12-yard line. I think they'd be satisfied.
McKinley can use some timeouts now and try to stop the clock, but it looks like, you know, they've got their back against it now.
Big hole inside for Francisco, and it takes the safety man Clax along with Devon Torrance, number 45, to bring him down. That'll be a first down.
Just a quick hitter up the middle, but it was off a reverse pivot by the quarterback, which kind of threw the defense off. Watch now as the quarterback makes that inside handoff rather than a reverse pivot. An inside handoff, and excellent job by the Crusaders.
That's a gain of 21 yards. We're down to 1 minute to go. Let's see how Moeller wants to play this. Pitch it back. There's a flag on the play, and Perrin has the quarterback.
They're going to decline the penalty. I'll tell you that. It looked as though somebody from Moeller jumped off sides or moved.
Tom Canton from the side. How'd you see it?
I got legal procedure on Moeller.
It looked as though Moeller was not going to be intent to go in the locker room with a 14-3 lead. As they went to the flea flicker, you're going to see it right there. That was the up man moved a little bit too soon. Here comes the pitch back to the quarterback, Schaffner, and there's Perrin on the spot for the big sack.
Well, no question, you take the play over the 5-yard loss and the replay of the down.
Now this is important. Now, if from Moeller's point of view, if McKinley can hold him with that short punt, the punter only being back 11 yards, you can bet that McKinley, if they force him to punt, is going to come after it this time to try to get a quick score. So we'll have to watch for that in the next 2 plays.
2nd and 24, but we're down to 45 seconds to go, and the clock is running here in the first half with Moeller leading McKinley 14-3. Schaffner back to throw. Wide open is Jackson, and he's all the way up to the 40. And there goes a chance for McKinley to get one more shot at it.
Short of the first down, but you're right. As Moeller crossed him up by sending it back out of the backfield and right into the seam of the zone defense, you're going to see it come across. Now Jackson coming out from he's on a wing back or a slot back, makes a nice turn in, spins to the open as he was in a slot to the left side.
Cincinnati Moeller has now called a timeout with 29 seconds to go.
Remember, they're downwind.
Yeah, they have a chance now. They've got good field position once again.
Well, they've got to pick up about 20 yards or so, 15 yards possibly, but 20 yards to get about a 45-yarder out of it. And I don't know, this Moeller team has shown they're hungry. They haven't played it close to the vest at all, except for that 1 3rd down call.
From the McKinley perspective, they just can't afford to give up any more points before halftime.
If they score with 29 seconds left, it's going to put McKinley in a deep hole and play right into the Moeller defensive hands. In other words, they're going to have to throw the ball more often than they'd like.
And as well as Moeller has played offensively, I know head coach Tom McDaniels must be very frustrated with the play of his team. They have at times self-destructed here in this first half. Ball on the 40, and Schaffner is back to throw. He's looking over the middle to Jackson. He got one hand on it. Coverage by Gary Little.
Straight drop back pass. Jackson coming out of that slot back position again. And Moeller has shown that their skill position people have excellent athletic ability, as Jackson almost hauled this ball in. Coming out of the slot in the bottom of the screen, you can see the ball a little high, and you got him in the hand. Really wasn't a very good, easy ball to catch.
This is a 4th and 3 call, and Moeller's going for it.
Well, they can eat up the clock, if anything.
24 seconds. Schaffner back to pass. The man is open. Bratton, he could go all the way, and he will. And Moeller has blown this game open.
You know, who'd have thunk it? I mean, you're talking about a 4th and 3 inside your own territory, and you're winning 14-3.
And a comment I was going to make, and I'm glad I didn't, but I was thinking it when they got the ball back, there's under a minute to go. Wouldn't they be satisfied 14-3? No, they aren't. They wanted 21-3.
Well, one reason why I thought they went for it rather than that, with 25 seconds left in the clock, they could have run a running play and run out the clock or something like that. But these coaches and these Moeller kids are just out for it today.
The shot out trying to add the 21st point for Cincinnati Moeller, and he does. 14 seconds to go before the end of the first half, and Cincinnati Moeller has opened up a 21-3 lead. We'll keep it right here. And Tom, a stat on the quarterback.
Schaffner 3 for 6 now for 89 yards. Watch the tight end come out of here. Now this is a big person. This guy's 220 pounds, and watch him start running away from people.
And this is a tight end. This is a young man who's got the vital statistics on him.
What can I say? You know, all you can see is people chasing Moeller people right now.
6'3", 236 with that running speed, a 60-yard pass. Schaffner to the tight end. Bratton showing why he is one of the best at what he does.
The unbelievable part about it is it's 4th and 3, and they're deep in their own territory. The incomplete pass, McKinley has a shot for a field goal or a touchdown with 25 seconds left. Moeller showing tremendous guts and tremendous poise in putting that touchdown pass on the board.
This is the first chance we've seen to see Cincinnati Moeller, and ladies and gentlemen, all the pre-publicity about this team is well-deserved. They are an excellent football team. This is Chris Clacks at the 15, bring it to the 25, out of bounds at about the 28-yard line. On the tackle, Jeff Krimner, number 95.
Okay, we're going to go out on a limb, Scott. We're going to call the flea flicker now, or the pitch back pass, because this is about the only play McKinley has in their playbook that can cover this kind of yardage in 8 seconds. It looks like it's going to set up on the left side. I want to see what happens. I think that McKinley has to do something positive, obviously, at the end of the half. Don't forget, Moeller's going to get the football and for the kickoff at the beginning of the second half.
5-play, 83-yard drive only took up a minute and 28 seconds, and the Bulldogs will be content on this run by Chris Clacks to let the first half expire. First half dominated by Moeller in every department, including the score. Cincinnati Moeller 21 and Canton McKinley 3. And there you see it. We'll pause for 60 seconds. Once again, we're at halftime with the score: Moeller 21, McKinley 3. I've got to assume that perhaps it's only ironic, especially if you're a Cincinnati Moeller fan, the fact that Jackson, with 11:10 to go, almost right off the bat, scores on a 76-yard touchdown run, and then on a 60-yard pass with only 14 seconds to go. They scored very quickly, they scored very late, and that's one of the reasons they are at this point dominating the football game.
I'm still in a state of disbelief over that 4th and 4th and going for it inside your own territory. It almost makes me wonder if they didn't know what down it was or something, because that's just totally unconventional. You just don't do things like that, and they caught McKinley by surprise, and the tight end showed me that everything you hear about Moeller is true. He just ran away from people.
Really incredible. As I said, all the publicity coming into this game from Moeller. This is the first time we've had to see him in person, and it is well deserved. They are an excellent, excellent football team. Very creative play calling. Of course, a touchdown run, putting McKinley on the defensive And that first run of 76 yards, Jackson, this running back number 23, as fine as any running back we've seen this year.
You're going to take a look at it again as McKinley people got caught inside. There's a block on Snow right there. Jackson showing good athletic ability and speed, and now he just puts it onto the races as he heads down the sideline. There's a little bit of company down here close to the goal line, but he jumps in, he sprawls himself out, and goes right into the end zone.
Joe Hoskins had an angle but could not make the tackle, and there's Alex Bates trying, but in for the touchdown is Jackson. And then McKinley came right back. Their series on offense, and they get a 47-yard field goal by Mark Smith, only 2 yards short of the state championship record in Division I. It's 7-3, and at this point, I thought McKinley was right back in the ballgame.
Well, it was an important series, no doubt about it, as McKinley had to get something back in their favor, and they made a very positive drive out of it. They got the ball down deep into, well, it wasn't that deep because it did end up being a 47-yard field goal. And you're going to watch Smith now, a lot of leg, and he had more than enough on this as he clears the uprights for 3 points, and everybody at McKinley, I'm sure, took a little bit of a sigh of relief here as they broke the scoreboard.
The wind was at his back, but yet, great individual effort. We're going to pause for 5 seconds here from Ohio Stadium in Columbus to allow our stations to identify themselves.
This is WIII TV.
Run out of real estate at the 34-yard line. Among those in on the stop, Eric Hunchell, number 3, a defensive back.
One of the most stretched out kickoff returns I've ever seen. It lasted a long time, and he did pick up about 25 yards on the return, but it was all lateral.
Return of the kickoff.
22-yard return for Clax. The Bulldogs will set up shop 1st and 10 with the ball on the 34-yard line. Cincinnati Moeller 21, Canton McKinley 3 as we begin the second half of play. The give is to Clax. Good blocking. He'll cut it back inside, and he'll bring it out to the 45-yard line.
A little bit of a crossover there as Clax started towards the right side, came back to the middle, picked up a block from the official.
An 11-yard gain
for first down. Going to see now as Clax takes it on a cross, Snow to the left, him to the right. A good blocking this time as McKinley seals off the outside. Clax cuts it inside. Here comes the official who helps on the stop.
And Weiss credited with the tackle on that play. Defensive lineman, number 96 for Cincinnati Moeller. 1st and 10 call. Percy Snow breaks a pair of tackles at the line of scrimmage and turns what looked like no gain into 5 yards.
Apparently, McKinley has decided that they're going to keep it on the ground for the beginning of this play until they get into Moeller territory at least and try to make something positive out of this drive. And as we mentioned in the halftime, this is a very important drive for the Bulldogs.
Chip Carney on the stop. We're at the 11-minute mark in the 3rd quarter. McKinley taking the first possession on the second half. They need some points. Cincinnati Moeller leads it 21-3. From midfield, again, the snap is fumbled. Cheney picks it up, but it'll lose a couple of yards. Tom Canton.
Yeah, I talked to Tim Wechter, who's one of the Cincinnati Moeller assistants, and I asked him particularly about the 4th down play. They suspected that everybody in the stadium, including McKinley, would think they were just going to kneel down on the ball. It was a planned play. They used the tight end specifically on that play, clearing everybody out to the left. And he said they have more bags or more tricks in their bag if they need to. They did warn their kids at halftime that McKinley has been and will be a second-half team.
All right, thank you, Tom Canton, and you sure covered the Moeller side. Moeller confident but not cocky, and the ball is overthrown there, and we're looking for a flag. Certainly the McKinley side is, and you can see one of the assistant coaches at the bottom of the screen jumping up and down.
Well, I couldn't believe it because there was contact before the ball was thrown, and there was an official that should have been there right on the 50-yard line. Let's take a look at it. You be the referee. You make the call. Here comes the pass right in on the money, and you're not going to see the contact, I don't believe. There it is right there. There's no doubt about it.
Tom Canton, your perspective.
Paul wasn't able to be caught. It was way too high and overthrown.
Okay. I'll buy that.
Van Voris in. A short punt, and Moeller going to let it bounce. Mark Smith among those down. They'll down it inside the 10-yard line. 9:52 to go. Moeller leads at 21-3. We'll pause for 60 seconds.
Jeep Day. It's our...
1 yard gain by Tony Jackson, 2nd and 9 call, and again he is bottled up after a gain of a couple. We would expect, Steve Lake, some conservative play calling when they're inside their own 15, but who knows after what happened at the end of the first half.
I'm not going to second guess anybody again.
And look at the time of possession. I know you covered it, but McKinley had the ball for about 13 minutes in that first half. Moeller for 11, and yet Moeller leads 21-3. Of course, that reflects the big plays that Moeller's had in this ball game. 3rd and 7. Ball on the Moeller 12-yard line. Let's see what kind of play call they are going to use. And they will put the ball up in the air, some pressure. They'll throw it back across the field to Papes. And he breaks the tackle of Bates. He has fumbled the ball. And let's see who's got it. The McKinley Bulldogs have it.
Tom Canton, you're right on top of that. What happened?
Well, that time Alex Bates came up to make the tackle. A real good move by the receiver as he tried to get extra yardage. Once he had the first down made, he lost possession of it, and McKinley's football.
Watch it here on the replay, and watch for Kerry Brown. We think he got the ball.
Good move here by the receiver to get open to the middle. There's the fumble caused by Percy Snow.
All right, back to throw. Cheney under tremendous pressure, and he's down. What a big play for Cincinnati Moeller.
Boy, you're not kidding, because Taylor was wide open coming across on a post pattern over the middle. And if Cheney had any time at all to set up, he even lost his shoe on the play.
Nyard and Dawson, two of the interior linemen, really putting the heat on. And what a big loss for the Bulldogs, 13-yard loss. Bulldog can't be smiling the way things are going right now. 2nd and 23 with the ball on the 39-yard line.
Yeah, Taylor drew man-to-man coverage on that play. He was wide open on a post pattern, which is, there again, a little bit different from McKinley's passing offense, but they usually like to go outside.
Approaching the 7-minute mark to go, and the Bulldogs have dug themselves another hole, and nothing doing here. Tony Dawson with the initial hit.
McKinley sent 2 wide receivers to the top of the screen, split very far out in an effort to shake a little room here for Richardson. As you can see, number 91 for Moeller came in, and he was no match for the 171-pounder as he pulled him down.
Unfortunately for Bulldog fans, their team is actually going backwards on this series, and they face a 3rd down and 23 call. The ball now back on the Moeller 39-yard line. Taylor wide to the top of your screen. That's Perrin in a slot, running backs in the eye. Back to throw is Cheney. Dave Williams with a good block there. Throwing for Perrin. He's got it. There's a flag down.
There's the interference.
Jim Russell defending, number 80.
Take a look again as Cheney throws a very nice pass here just over the outstretched hands of the Perrin. Perrin could have caught the ball, I believe. And here comes the Moeller defender as he makes contact there with his right hand hooked in Perrin's left arm, and that's why they called the pass interference.
But that won't be a first down.
All right, we'll bring up, let's see where they mark it.
Get the down over though, right?
It'll be a 15-yard penalty from the spot of the snap.
So it'll be 3rd down again.
Talking it over with Dean Brown.
They started to move the yard markers. And
yeah,
then the official said, whoa.
It is a first down.
It is a first down.
There you go.
Now McKinley, let's see if they can take advantage of an opportunity presented by Cincinnati Moeller on that play.
We mentioned that they don't want field goals. I think this early they'll take one if they have to, but they've got to be thinking end zone.
Going to spot the ball on the 24-yard line. 1st and 10. Receiver split wide to both sides. Pressure is on. They've got him again, and that's Larry Rytel leading the charge from his linebacker spot.
I think Moeller is doing a good job in guessing as they anticipated a first down pass after the fumble recovery, and then they anticipated a pass here. You can see the middle linebacker coming in, number 51, coming right over the middle as they were just outmatched there.
Of course, one thing we talked about in the pregame, Steve, Moeller will show you a lot of different looks. They'll shoot 1, 2, even 3 linebackers, and they are at times confusing the McKinley Bulldogs. 5:45 to go 3rd quarter. This is a 2nd and 18 call. The pitch back to Richardson. He's got a crease, and he brings it down between the 30 and 31-yard lines. Tackle on the play by Mike Hunter, the defensive back, and actually, let's mark that ball down on around the 26.
Yeah, Richardson did a nice job, but the Moeller defense did a great job in closing that play, because initially they looked like it was going to go for a lot more yardage than it did.
One of the bright spots for McKinley, the running of Jeff Richardson.
McKinley has not been able to break anything against this very aggressive Moeller defense.
Yeah, he's up to 13 carries for 50 yards, and he's the leading ball carrier for the Bulldogs. Of course, Tony Jackson's had a phenomenal day for Moeller. Back to throw now, Cheney looking over the middle, broken up nicely by Chip Carney, the intended receiver, Juan Taylor.
McKinley doesn't like to throw over the middle that often. They've done it more this game than I've seen them before. And you can see this time Moeller drops back into coverage, the right defensive call at the right time as the linebackers were in there. And you can see both linebackers are right in the coverage there.
And they get a field goal attempt now from Mark Smith.
If you remember, the last one he tried going into the open end of the stadium, he hooked it left.
43 yards.
Tendency would be to kick it too hard to try to compensate for that wind.
Nice handle by Mullally, and that's going to fall short. Short and off to the kicker's left. 4:54 to go. We'll pause for 60 seconds with the score: Moeller 21 and McKinley 3. Tony Jackson gaining 15 and 11 yards, and already Moeller up to midfield. He has 137 yards on only 13 carries, averaging 10.5 yards. So Moeller will now set up shop at midfield on a 1st and 10 call. This time up the middle. This is Francisco, and he could go all the way.
He will. There's that little inside handoff again. And a 55-yarder for Sean Francisco from the fullback spot. If you're from McKinley, you're not going to like it. If you're in Cincinnati on WIII, you're going to love it. As Francisco takes the inside handoff, and then he does it on his own here as he doesn't really break a tackle. There isn't one to be made, and he almost runs untouched. Into the air comes Bates. He's going to take a dive at his heels, and Francisco steps right into the end zone.
Of course, Moeller fans remember in '82 when they beat Massillon on this field. 2 Francisco brothers in the lineup, and now Sean Francisco, the youngest brother, making his presence felt. The extra point is good, and with 4:02 to go in the 3rd quarter, we'll pause for 60 seconds with the score: Moeller 28 and McKinley 3.
Replay, 52 seconds, 55 yards. Francisco.
Well, you know, they've never had the...
Took him this long to change the...
Number 7, now Fushada.
The opening kickoff, and let's show it to you on the replay, and Steve Lake pick it up because it's another big play by Moeller.
This has started off bad and got worse for the Bulldogs. As you're going to watch, there's going to be a clip coming up against McKinley, and then, of course, a fumble at the end of this, and Moeller, as quick as you can say, Moeller has the ball back. Here's Richardson back there because of his speed to return the kickoff. And you're going to see the clip coming up right there. As a McKinley player clipped, the referee did throw the flag. The ball squirts loose as number 95 created the fumble in midair. Moeller's got the ball, and after a 3-play, 80-yard drive that took 52 seconds, they've got the ball back in Bulldog territory.
Brian Clark looked up, and the ball was in his hands. People in Cincinnati are going crazy, I'm sure. You gotta love what's going on here. Flags all over the place once again.
It's a procedure, I believe, against Moeller. Tom Canton, you were right next to the fumble. Did you see it?
Yeah, just as Richardson turned it upfield, it popped straight up in the air. Number 55, as Scott said, it was right in his lap. He didn't know really what to do. He started to head back the other way with it.
If you can take a shot of the scoreboard, I'm not trying to play director, but a nice welcome from the Ohio High School Athletic Association to some of those making this game possible to you here on WOAC TV with the cooperation of WIII. We want to thank them for that greeting and also thank the Ohio High School Athletic Association for all of their cooperation during our stay here in Columbus.
Always wanted your name and lights, right, Scott?
Boy, I'll tell you, well, yours is right there too, along with Tom Canton, Mike Larson, and our producers, Lee Carpenter and J.D. DeAngelis.
Tom Canton, you got something for us?
Well, you know, when McKinley came out, they had been at a psychological disadvantage the whole first half. They just never had been on top. They got a chance to start the second half. They took it down. Their balloon just kind of burst, and they just weren't ready for transition defense.
From the 40-yard line, and a fumble on the handoff, and McKinley has the ball. And on the bottom of that pile, looks like Quentin Jackson, linebacker number 29.
Jackson.
You're going to see the fumble on the exchange as somebody popped it loose there, and Jackson fell on it to give McKinley a little bit of a bright spot in this dark and dreary day.
3 minutes and 18 seconds to go, and you know the Bulldogs have to put 7 points on the board. And this is probably a good time to do so. And Cincinnati Moeller wants a timeout. There's 3 minutes and 9 seconds to go. We'll keep it right here. The score 28-3, and Tom Canton along the sideline. I'm not down there with you, my friend, but I can imagine the mood of the McKinley Bulldogs.
Well, as I mentioned, psychologically, they just haven't had the upper hand all day long. The kids came off the field after the last long run by Francisco, and their heads were naturally low. I think they feel like they've given it a good effort, but it's not going to be their day.
You can see an evidence of the wind and the elements as Tom's coat almost got blown off of him down there.
Yeah, battle gear.
And it looks so good right before the game.
Oh, I made such a good forecast.
Tom Canton, of course, is a regular sports columnist for the Free Press and not a weather prognosticator.
Nor will he be.
3 minutes and 9 seconds to go now. And it's been all Moeller, 28-3, although McKinley has moved the ball. They've not necessarily been dominated statistically. It's a combination of big plays by Moeller and mistakes by the Bulldogs.
I'm wondering if McKinley didn't show some kind of a trick play or something that the coaches had seen and they called a timeout to warn the defense about it.
The play is to Claxton. He is smothered. He'll get it up to the 40-yard line. Rytel and Neck, two of the linebackers in on the stop.
Just a little crossover. It worked the first time they did it in this half for about a 7 or 8 yard gain. This time it gets bottled up. As the Moeller defense slanting in, good lead block there, but it actually took the blocking pattern away from Clax and allowed the Moeller defenders to get in there on the stop.
Late substitution for Moeller now. See if McKinley can take advantage of that late substitution. That's Dawson putting the pressure on, and Dawson has him. And he beat a pretty good player in Dean Brown.
Moeller is doing a lot of stunting on that four-man front. They're closing people inside, shooting the gaps, blitzing when they think it's a passing situation. There's Dawson, the big, and I mean big middleman, and he comes through right over Dean Brown's inside and makes the sack.
Been a rough weekend for Northern Ohio football down here.
I'll say. Akron U went down, the Mount went down, everybody.
Mount Union lost,
St. Thomas
lost.
hit a buzzsaw yesterday.
Dave Williams, I believe his first carry, and not much. Weiss is on top of that pile, and getting off of the bottom is Mike Sturgis. That's going to bring up a 4th and long and a punting situation.
Of course, McKinley is going into a pretty stiff wind now, and if you're wondering why they didn't throw on that with long yardage, you'd be playing right into Moeller's hands, and they probably thought they could pick it up over the middle.
Good punt by Van Voris. Driving the man back, and there's a little communication problem, and Hilbert gets it, and he's able to turn the corner, and he makes something out of that, bringing it up to the 30. He and Griffey both wanted the football on that play.
One of those low driving punts that you like to take on the fly, and the only problem Moeller had with it, they couldn't decide who was going to take it. Hilbert ended up with it, turned it upfield, and made a nice gain out of it.
That's a 45-yard punt, but a good return. Actually, they'll mark him out of bounds a little short at the 27-yard line. Schaffner, the quarterback for Moeller, 4 out of 7, good for 103 yards, and of course the big one, the 60-yarder to Bratton. Moeller keeping the ball on the ground, as you would expect. Percy Snow with the first hit on Jackson, and he's up over the 30-yard line. Jerome Perrin also in on the stop.
Well, if you don't think these Moeller people think every play is going to go for a touchdown, they were blocking downfield 25 yards past the line of scrimmage.
Now under a minute of play, 15 carries, 149 yards for Tony Jackson, the MVP statistically of this ball game.
The guy downstairs.
Got a 2nd and 7 call right here, and another carry by Tony Jackson. Jerome Perrin with the initial hit, close to the first down.
Just a little sweep there off the pitch, and they get outside the McKinley rush, and he picked up about 8 yards, getting close to the first down, as Jackson is now adding stats to his game here. Take a look, little pitch. Here's Jackson heading outside. Bates gets picked off there by the Moeller blocking, and Jackson pulls it upfield.
Interesting fact here, and we'll pick it up probably to start the 4th quarter, because that play will mean a first down for Moeller. We're down inside 5 seconds to go, and I believe they'll let the clock run out here after they move the sticks. And when we do, we will pause for 60 seconds and come back for the 4th quarter of action. The score, Moeller 28, Canton McKinley 3.
At Star Lincoln.
Bates on top of that tackle. Jerome Perrin in there as well. Steve, Mark Inzetta's been doing a great job spotting for this game. Former Canton resident, now living in Columbus. And the record book is being rewritten in this Division I title game. The Massillon fans probably remember 1982 against Moeller, one of their big plays. 58-yard pass from Brian DeWitt's to Gary Conley. That was the longest pass play for a touchdown in the history of Division I football. Well, of course, we know that's been ellipsed now, thanks to that 60-yard pass from Schaffner to Bratton right at the end of the first half. So another record performance by Cincinnati Moeller.
Well, they've been here a number of times, and it's not unusual for them to be the record holders.
Remember that day in '82? I was down here covering this game for TV 67. A lot colder, but not as windy. Back to throw. Schaffner, Jerome Perrin has him, and he's down.
Fumble.
First that save, they ruled he was down.
Tom Canton, it looked as though the one official was looking for help on that.
Yeah, they were looking. They looked at each other. They looked at me. I just ruled it McKinley, but they ruled it down. I might want to add. You know, Moeller has just done an outstanding job in preparation and execution. On the other side, I think if you talked execution to Tom McDaniels, you probably would think that's a good idea.
Say if you had your striped shirt on, Tom.
McKinley looks as though they're going to go for the punt again.
Hilbert is standing on his own 22, and he gets it away. A high punt, relatively short, but it does take a great Moeller roll, and it's going to go inside the McKinley 30, down at the 28-yard line. We're going to keep it right here at 10-12 to go. Moeller leading by a score of 28-3, a 37-yard punt. Had some good height on it, and that allowed Moeller to come down and cover it.
Into the wind, it wasn't a bad punt. 37 yards into the wind, he got it up in the air, and it might have gone a little further had he kept it a little lower, but he did a nice job.
Well, things getting darker and gloomier, except perhaps on the Cincinnati Moeller side of things.
Well, it looks as though it's going to get a little darker because there's a personal foul against the Bulldogs, and they're going to march it back some more.
Tom Canton, a good example of some frustration on the part of the Bulldogs.
Well, they're just downcast. Yeah, they're very frustrated. That time, it looked like number 16 for Moeller started to tangle with one of the Bulldogs right in front of the referee. And you always see the second shot on something like that. You never see the first one.
That's good coaching, right, Tom?
Yeah. But I think Steve's hit it right. The Bulldogs right now want to get this 10 minutes and 12 seconds off the clock and get back onto the bus.
but it will be a long ride home. More ways than one. Total yards now, and a beautiful thing about the scoreboard here at Ohio Stadium, keeping track of those statistics. 318 now for Moeller, 215 of that on the ground. Total of 144 for McKinley, including 95 yards rushing. So now Moeller even dominating statistically, along with on the scoreboard. And Richardson will take the inside handoff. And if there has been one bright spot offensively for the Bulldogs, it's been the play of number 49.
Well, you know, the youngsters come in and he's done a good job, and certainly he's, you know, he's got to make up for a lot with his size, and he does it with speed, and he certainly has showed a lot of courage today running inside against this Moeller defense, which has just been doing a super job. The Moeller defense, the coaches deserve a lot of credit. We'll talk about that later on as we get close to the end of this.
Steve Weiss in on the tackle there. Still McKinley controlling the time of possession, but again, it's thanks to all the big plays by Moeller. That was thrown in a dangerous area. A lot of traffic there.
They're going to, Tom Canton, it looks as though they're going to call that incomplete.
Yeah, that was a short hopper.
Let's take a look. You call it at home. The official was right on it. Of course, we're about 5 miles up in the air, and it's difficult to see those things on the far side of the field. And you can see there was a little bit of a mix-up there, I think, as there shouldn't have been 2 receivers, and the ball did nestle on the ground.
Like 5 o'clock rush hour in the New York subway system. Cheney has thrown 11 times for 35 yards. Going to Ron Fraley, our statistician. Pressure on Cheney. He throws, and the ball is almost intercepted.
As those of you who know Ohio Stadium is not lit here, those are just lights that they have to kind of help on these dark days. Cheney rolls out to his right now, and you can see he fires the ball into traffic, and the Moeller's linebackers are there again, guessing right on defense, back in the coverage.
You see Reitel coming over. That's Markley, though, that almost had an interception. High snap, and Boris does a nice job. It's a line drive kick, and this is Griffey, number 2. Griffey looking for an opening. He's close to midfield, and then the McKinley pursuit catching up. Dave Williams among those on the tackle. Dave Williams also slow to get up.
It looks as though there is a McKinley player down. Is that Williams? The line blocking on that punt, the blocking for Moeller was just ferocious, as they're apparently not content with just running things out. They were really setting up the block.
Tom Canton, can you confirm if that's Dave Williams?
Yeah, he's down. He was at the bottom of the stack. I can't tell what's wrong with him, but he's the man down. He was, doesn't appear to be a leg injury. Probably maybe the wind knocked out of him.
It looked as though he was grabbing his right shoulder.
You know, you're right about one thing. It's getting very dark down here. Fortunately, right after halftime, the rain stopped. But it's very difficult to see really more than 30, 40 yards down here without really getting dark.
Do you notice a big temperature change down there?
It really got raw when it rained midway through the first half. Actually, since the rain has stopped, it's kind of got a little milder.
Tom, those lights on the side shining down, it's almost like they're lighting the track. Is that going to hurt anybody's vision or anything, or be any factor?
Well, it's, you know, I suppose it's in the area where if you threw an out pattern, you could get a little bit of a problem. But I really don't think it would be significant. There's only one string of lights that go across there, and I wouldn't really think that would really be something they'd have to be concerned with.
It certainly will give the fans at home a look at how wet the field has gotten over the course of the afternoon, if anything.
Well, I wasn't kidding when I told you there were more than intermittent showers.
How about that for a record? Steve Clowney, winner of 93% of his games. He's been head coach at Moeller 4 years, his second state title appearance, both against Stark County schools. It looks like he's well on his way to victory number 2. Ironically, coming one day after the end of Jerry Faust's career at Notre Dame, and what a long afternoon he had.
Well, there's only 2 big parochial school jobs in the country, right? Notre Dame and Moeller.
And looking at it from that perspective, Jerry Faust, the one man who's had both. That was Tony Jackson on the carry, Percy Snow on the tackle, and must be a very disappointed head coach Tom McDaniels there.
Well, you know, he had a rough time at the beginning of the year. People were kind of critical of him. He's come along, put a nice win streak together, and you don't like to lose as a result of mistakes, but give credit to the Moeller team. They really came to play.
Tight formation. Moeller obviously wanting to keep the ball on the ground. Dean Brown on the tackle. Francisco, the ball carrier. One thing we kind of overlook, Steve, we talk about who won the state Division II and III and IV and V and Division I. let's give credit to the other teams just for making it this far, especially with the expanded playoff system.
It's a real meat grinder going into the high school playoffs as you face, you don't get any rest. I mean, these teams have won by big scores, but they're still playing top competition and going to get hit just as hard whether you win 28-0 or 24-19.
Mark Maley, the offensive tackle, number 77 for McKinley, and his expression tells it all. And back on the field, Jerome Perrin puts down the quarterback along with Kerry Brown. And Jerome Perrin, we've mentioned his name. He's played an outstanding game.
Okay, here's a look at some play action here as they fake to Jackson, which has got to draw some attention, but it doesn't. And the pass rush just kept coming, and they did a nice job in cornering Schaffner, pardon me. We worked all game on saying his name right.
We even talked to the coaches. Schaffner, I guess is the correct pronunciation, but some people, I understand in Cincinnati, call him Schaffner.
That must be that Kentucky influence.
At the 30-yard line, that's Bates. He doesn't get much, and Moeller, even their special teams doing the job. Why not? Nyert and Neck, two of their starters on defense, among those in on the tackle.
25-yard punt, Scott.
We'll set up shop now at the 30-yard line, and we're down to 7 minutes and 1 second left in the 1985 football season of both schools.
There was a little bit of a different wrinkle at the beginning of the game. McKinley was here at 10 o'clock. Moeller didn't get here till about 45 minutes before game time.
In the 30-yard line, this is Jeff Richardson. Nice cutback, and he crosses the 35, 37, and a flag. Tom Canton, can you pick that one up?
It's very late. That had to be on the tackle. Maybe a face mask.
Well, we'll see if we can catch it. It had to be a late hit or a face mask because it was Richardson against the whole Moeller defense, and I don't think he'd have committed any penalties.
Face mask. Russell and Markley will be in on this tackle, Steve.
Here comes Richardson on just a power I formation as he picks a hole, cuts upfield, and the face mask was right there. It looked like number 51 got hold of it right in front of the official.
Put the ball into Moeller territory at the 48-yard line. 5 penalties, 50 yards against Cincinnati Moeller. Jerome Perrin coming into the ball game with the play, replacing Gar Brown at the wingback position. 6 minutes and 30 seconds to go in the ball game. Cincinnati Moeller leading this one 28-3, and I guess the story of this will be Moeller's big play offense.
And their big play defense, Scott. We're going to talk about that later. They've really done a good job defensively.
And again, Jeff Richardson doesn't know that his team is down by 25 points, and he's really impressed me. And of course, keep in mind, Bulldog fans, he'll be back next year. He's got 2 more seasons.
For those of you who've played in these kind of games in your careers, you really don't keep track of the time when you're out there if you're McKinley. The kids just want to play. They want to do the best they can, and they probably at this point don't really know how much time is left on the clock. I'm sure the coaches do and the people on the sidelines, but while they're playing, they're just going all out.
Both teams will have major rebuilding jobs next year. Moeller with only 2 junior starters, although one is their quarterback, Schaffner. Cheney, all right, to throw. The ball is loose. This could be a touchdown. I think this is Weiss, the defensive lineman for Moeller. Percy Snow tackles him, but he's in for the touchdown.
Tom Canton, did you see his arm go forward on that?
What happened, Steve? He took it back, and then he was hit just as his arm was coming forward. I think that was a good call. That one should have been a fumble.
Okay, Tom Canton, our sideline reporter, right on the action, and we'll let you judge at home.
He never saw him coming. He was blindsided.
And by a load, too. 99 got good size to him. And there goes his arm forward, but the ball was fumbled before his arm started to go forward. It was a good call by the officials.
Darrell Williams caused the hit, and Weiss, as we called it, picked it up. How many yards on that one? 47 yards, according to Ron Fraley.
And that's the 4th fumble for the Bulldogs in this game, and that's enough said about that.
In Division I, Mark Inzetta tells me that's the first time ever a fumble has been taken in for a touchdown in 13 years. It's all Moeller. We'll pause for 60 seconds. It's the Crusaders 35, the Bulldogs 3.
Chris Clax returned the kickoff.
Chris Clax taking the kickoff and returning it to about the 32-yard line. There you see it, and Steve Lake said it first. Give him credit. Moeller's defense playing a big role in this ball game and tangibly now putting points on the scoreboard.
Well, it hasn't been a case of, you know, the big play defense, except for, I shouldn't say there has been big play defense, but not the kind that score touchdowns. Then they come up and score a touchdown. So they've just really put in a complete defensive ball game today.
Well, not Sean Perrin, as the scoreboard says, but Jerome Perrin has 4 sacks for 36 yards. Cheney back to throw. Taylor's got it, and a flag is down.
Looks
Tom
like
Canton.
Tom, did you catch that?
The only thing I could think that could have been was a hold when he cut it inside. But obviously, it would be declined. Well, maybe not, obviously. Is that far enough for a first down? I don't have that good an angle.
I'm a little puzzled. I think that it was either a holding on the receiver or a pass interference or something. They're talking to Cheney now.
They're short of the first down.
If they give him the flag, they're going to give him the first. They give him the penalty, they'll get the first down.
As where it's spotted right now at the 40, they're about 2.5 yards short.
If you're watching at home, there's no sense in checking the score. We're going to give our stations along the way 5 seconds to identify themselves.
This is WIII TV 64, Cincinnati, Ohio.
And again, we want to thank the folks, again, welcoming us along with our sister station in this effort, WIII Channel 64 in Cincinnati and WOAC TV Channel 67 in Canton. A long ball deep, and it's caught.
Taylor doing an excellent job running up sideline.
Great throw.
This is one for pride now. As the Bulldogs play deep in the territory. Here it comes. It's just a fly pattern as Taylor takes the man one-on-one down the sideline. Cheney gets some time and delivers a picture-perfect pass just over the Moeller defenders. I want to mention that Moeller did make some wholesale substitutions just prior to this play.
And in on that play, Hounshell, number 3. Whereas for Steve Kalani, he wants to give a lot of his younger players a chance to play. All right, this is Cheney back looking for Perrin. He's open. He's got the ball at the 15-yard line and inside the 15, down to about the 13.
Well, as I mentioned, I started to mention before the station ID, 35-3 our score. We're going to check the record books along the way because I'm sure we've broken a couple here. And there's the pass into Perrin, quick hitter inside, and lots of Moeller people to greet him.
Actually, let's mark it more like the 14-yard line. Gain of 9. 2nd and 1. McKinley trying to get in for a touchdown with 4 minutes to go in the game. It's been all Moeller, 35-3. Cheney throws. Nice catch by Taylor, and he's in for the Kent McKinley touchdown.
Tom Canton, you saw it. Nice catch.
Yeah, it was a well-thrown play, a real outstanding catch by Taylor as he split 2 defenders and was able to fall into the end zone for the score. I know they wanted to try to get in for more points, and I think that'll be a little pick-me-up for the ride home.
Tom Canton right in sync with the replay there as he called it from the field.
That's what you call ESP. Bulldogs going for 2, and why not with the score 35-9. A touchdown coming with 3:57 to go. Timeout, Cincinnati Moeller with 3:57 to go. We'll keep it here. The score 35-9.
I might want to say, too, that Cheney is limping a little bit on his left leg. When he was blindsided on the previous offensive series, he came up, he was hurt, but he was able to come back and bring the Bulldogs down the field in this particular series.
Just to give you a little insight as to why they called that timeout, Moeller had 12 men on the field for the extra point attempt, and it just goes to show you when you're hot, you're hot. They caught it, call a timeout so they get the man off the field and don't make the 2-point conversion any easier for the McKinley Bulldogs.
You see down in front of the McKinley bench, talking about a play here on the 2-point conversion. Mike Smith, the tight end, Brian Cheney, the quarterback, Chris Clacks, and shot of the Moeller defense. Now they talk about the mystique of Moeller. You talked about it. Forget about all the magic. They're just a a real good football team.
Well, it goes back to the days of Jerry Faust and his outstanding records at Moeller. I think he was something like 108-17 or something like that. And it's just a great football program, and once you do that, kids just want to go there and play football.
Cheney back to pass,
Wide
throws it
open.
wide open. Nice play call. Taylor again, the Cheney to Taylor combination working once again.
Okay, this is a set two-point conversion play as Perry comes out to the outside and clears. Cheney is inside now, and he goes deep into the end zone and takes a nice pass from Cheney for the two-point conversion. That's probably the first time Cheney's lined up inside all year.
Ron Fraley, how many catches for Juan Taylor today? Can you tell me?
4 catches, 54.
All right, 4 catches for 54 yards. He was the Bulldogs' favorite target during the regular season. Cheney 7 out of 16 for 90 yards, so you add that 4 to Taylor's total of 44. 48 catches for the season.
Here comes the onside kick.
Moeller's expected.
As they overload to one side. That's an unusual way to kick it, but Moeller was ready as Britton.
Bratton, the tight end, number 81, who caught that 60-yarder that set a new record for this Division I game.
That's an awful tough way for a soccer-style kicker to kick the football, but he does a nice job with it. And, of course, Moeller not fooled as they had everybody up as close as they could get to receive the kick. It bounces high, and Britton falls on it.
Star of this ball game, Tony Jackson, number 23, Moeller running back, 19 carries, 176 yards, 9.3 yards per carry, including a 76-yard touchdown. It started the Moeller scoring. And that's Dave Smith with a handle on the quarterback. And we have a new quarterback in the ball game for Moeller. That's Tom Nicholson, 6'4", 208 senior. So in his last game, he gets to play in a state title matchup.
Okay, this is a little mix-up here as Brian Murphy, 22, is just in the ball game for Jackson. I think was supposed to take a handoff, and the quarterback, he wasn't anywhere to be found. The quarterback got stuck with it.
As expected, wholesale changes now for Cincinnati Moeller. Scott Marshall is the fullback now, number 44. Pick up the other numbers as we get a chance. Pitchback is to the tailback, and he gets some good yardage. At number 26, Ken Lewis, 5'6", 170 pounds. And Moeller fans, smile, he'll be back next year.
Well, I guess everybody out there now will be back next year. The Moeller crowd was treated before the game. We didn't mention it. Somebody hired an airplane to fly by that said, "America's best is back," or something to that effect, and it kind of got the Moeller people up on their feet early in the before the game.
Well, Moeller scored early and often. They'll have flags on this play.
There's a fire drill.
Tom, who was running the fire drill?
I think the offensive left side lifted up.
Flag on the play.
Let's take a look at what Tom Canton called a fire drill. We didn't get it quite at the beginning. You could see that everybody was offsides on that left side. They're going to mark it off against the Crusaders.
For those of you keeping track with us, we're down to 2:19, and the wind starts picking up again, at least up here.
And that's probably the first time an M will be on the scoreboard at Ohio Stadium. It stands for Moeller, folks, not Michigan.
Now we have a new tailback in there. That's number 22. That's Brian Murphy, who was listed on the team's depth chart as their number 2 tailback. And he had put together some pretty good numbers on the season.
It looks as though we've got a injury timeout on the field.
Now, Kent McKinley wants a timeout. There is 1:49 to go in this ball game. Cincinnati Moeller leads Canton McKinley 35-11. There you see that big M. We're keeping it right here.
I'm sure there's somebody who works at Ohio State probably had a palpitation when they looked up and saw that big M, but it does stand for Moeller.
For a comment on that. He says, come on, guys, let's don't add insult to injury at this point. Be interesting to see, speaking of that Buckeye team, a lot of talent. Of course, Hurt and devastating loss to Keith Byers. I'm curious to see how they respond in this bowl opportunity. I'm sure that they don't want to go through the winner losers 3 straight.
No, you know, they had I would think it had to be a very rewarding season for Coach Cruz, based on the fact that he got into the hunt and was right down into it going into the last game of the season without Keith Byers. I mean, so you have to say that it's probably been a rewarding season inside, maybe not outside.
Ray Hilbert, who does just about everything for Moeller. He's one of a core of great specialists there, and it's blocked. As soon as I say what a great job he's done, the kick is blocked. Of course, his protection has to take responsibility, or lack of in that case. Give credit to the Bulldogs, and they're staying in this one right to the end.
Okay, that was the first team punting team, so it wasn't a fact of Hilbert being hung out to dry. He only stands 11 yards back, and McKinley did send everybody, which they've been doing all game, and they finally got to one. As was that Kerry Brown, or
I think it's Dave Williams.
Dave Williams coming across and blocking it, Smith chasing it down.
Kerry right behind him. Dave Williams is the main man. Remember, he almost blocked one earlier in the contest. So let's see what the Bulldogs can do. 125, 124, clock rolling. Taylor hanging it out. He's open. Taylor.
Intercepted.
It's intercepted. And maybe that play reflects everything that's happened on the day. McKinley with the opportunities, but it's Moeller that's been able to cash in.
Tom Canton, I'm looking at the replay now as it's coming down the field. Did Taylor have the ball and he just took it out of his hands?
No, it popped back up in the air, and the Moeller kid, as he was hitting the ground, it landed right in his lap.
Jeez, talk about a heads-up play. I saw it, Tom. You're right.
I believe that was Terry King, number 16, who picked up that ball. And Kent McKinley wants a timeout with 1:03 to go.
This might be...
They don't have enough players.
As a little indication of the elements, we just at this point lost our sideline camera. We lost a monitor, a sideline camera, an executive producer. He's back. Ron Fraley lost his seat in the press box due to a flood. And if Scott Davis hadn't brought his raincoat for the television monitor, we wouldn't have been on the air at all.
Take a look at the bowl games once again on TV 67 coming up. Arkansas and Arizona will be the first one, Sunday, December 22nd. And let's talk about Ohio State basketball. Steve and I were talking during one of the breaks. The Buckeyes, a big win over Maryland on a game you saw on TV 67. Coming up next Saturday night, 8 p.m., it's the Buckeyes in Cleveland State. And Saturday the 14th, 8 p.m., Ohio State and Arkansas. And let me jump back. Coming up Tuesday night, this Tuesday night, TV 67, 8 o'clock, college basketball, Ohio State and Florida. And at 10:30, we'll have the final edition of Scoreboard, the McKinley show, with highlights of this ball game, and we'll award our Offensive and Defensive Player of the Year trophies. Gary Little in on that tackle. I want to pick up what else is happening sports-wise on TV 67. Saturday the 14th, Ohio State, Arkansas. Thursday the 19th at 8 p.m., the Buckeyes in Dayton. Friday the 27th, Friday night ringside. Interesting fight, Steve. 10-round WBC lightweight bout. Edwin Rosario, ranked #1 challenger, WBC, 23-1 against Rocky Montoya, who has a 28-4. We have been told by the folks who put it together Friday night ringside that a Rosario win means a shot at WBC champ Hector Macho Camacho, which would happen probably in February of next year.
Well, of course, Montoya is a tough customer, and I'm sure he's going to have something to say about that as they get into that one.
Oh, we've got college bowl action. We've got college basketball action. And we've also got boxing for you on WOAC TV 67 Canton. And let me take this opportunity to also thank all the folks at WIII TV 64 in Cincinnati for picking up this feed and bringing this game to the folks in Cincinnati.
Who must have enjoyed it.
No question about that. They'll have smiles from ear to ear. We're down to 23 seconds. And the clock is rolling. This will probably be the last play of the 1985 high school football season. Just like McKinley has bounced back, so is our sideline camera. That'll do it. The last play of the 1985 high school football season. The Division I state champion, Cincinnati Moeller. The Crusaders Moeller's down Kent McKinley 35-11. We'll be back. All right, we're back here live from Ohio Stadium in Columbus. The final score is Cincinnati Moeller 35 and Kent McKinley 11. I know Tom Canton trying to get either one of the two head coaches of this one. That's a tough job. Obviously, the elation of Moeller, the disappointment of McKinley. We'll listen in, and when we're told by the trip, we'll go down. Let me take this opportunity to thank the folks at Image Video who've done such a great job doing the technical side of things for us, and special thanks to the folks at TV 67 in Canton, specifically Mike Larson, J.D. DeAngelis, Lee Carpenter. And my thanks to Steve Lake and also to Tom Canton. Let's go down to the field right now.
Okay, I'm here with both of the coaches for today's ball game. First to Coach McDaniels. I know you have to be disappointed. You just never seem to get it going today.
No, and we did give up the big play. We felt that coming in, that's something that we could not do against the Moeller football team and remain in a position to win. And we did defensively, and I don't know that we expected that. It's a real disappointment for us.
Okay, you went in at halftime down 21-3. What type of adjustments and what did you try to do differently in the second half?
Well, we just had to execute, had to quit making mistakes and putting the ball on the ground and quit giving up the big play. But it didn't exactly snowball on us, but we certainly didn't shut it down. We didn't eliminate the mistakes we did make in the first half.
After losing the first game of the season, you come back a long way. You avenged the loss to Glen Oak. You got to the state finals. You still have to have some satisfaction in the way that things went.
Well, I'm very proud of the kids, and we think that what we accomplished is indicative of the kind of program we have. We're proud to have made it as far as we did. We're proud to have played a team like Moeller, and we start tomorrow and next year.
Okay, fine. Good luck to you. Thanks for stopping by. Now we've got the victorious coach, Steve Clowney from Cincinnati Moeller. And Coach, it was just your day. Everything seemed to work the way you wanted it to.
It was. They had some fumble down here that turned some things around early. We had the big play early. It was really big plays. We didn't really sustain anything, and like knocking it at them all the time. But defensively, we played our guts out, and and offensively we did what we had to do, and it was definitely big plays today. We had to make a lot of adjustments in the game as we went. They changed defenses, moved around a lot on us. We had to change our snap count. We had to change our blocking schemes on a lot of things. They did a nice job to get ready for us.
Tell us a little bit about the play just before the half on 4th down with time running out. That must have been a set play. I understand, talk to one of your assistants. You intended to do just that.
Well, it's this 2-minute offense, and we had thrown it the time before, and they covered Jackson. And then we came back, we saw the tight end was wide open, so we called the same play and told the quarterback throw it to the tight end.
As Cincinnati Moeller mystique goes, you really didn't get the kind of respect that you normally get. You were kind of down in the rankings all year long. You waited to get Princeton in the playoffs. You knocked them out. A little more satisfaction because they apparently didn't expect that much out of you.
There's a whole lot of satisfaction with this year. I mean, this is, when we went into this thing, nobody gave us a chance. Nobody thought we'd be here, and they just fought and fought and fought and fought. And adversity has been, our middle name all year long, and we got beat the 4th game of the season by J.O. Johnson at Huntsville, Alabama, and we just came back and fought our way, and nobody said we could, we could be here, and our kids would never believe that, and our great tradition really got us here.
Well, we want to congratulate you on a job well done. You're #1 in the state of Ohio, and thanks for stopping by.
Thanks very much.
Okay.
Tom Canton, I'd like to congratulate you, and I'd like to get a comment from you so you can get in out of the cold and the wet and the dreary weather here. How about your impressions of this ball game?
Well, I think it was just a matter that McKinley didn't have anything going for them all day long. They were at a psychological disadvantage as the game wore on. Every big play seemed to go the other way. When the Bulldogs did have an opportunity to start the second half, they couldn't get it in. They missed the second field goal attempt that they tried. And I think from that point on, they just, it wasn't that they lost heart, but I think it just proved the point that there wasn't going to be their day.
Tom,
yes,
I got to say, the one thing I was going to mention earlier, and I said I'd save it for the end of the game because everybody knows how the game turned out. The Moeller defense, they seem to be just in the right defensive formation with the right defense called every time McKinley went into a big play situation with blitzes and dropping into coverage.
Yeah, I don't think you can say enough for the preparation that was done by the Moeller coaches and the defensive people on the field.
They did a lot of switching off. They shut down the things that McKinley does best. They really took Claxton Snow out of the ball game. McKinley tried to throw the ball wide to Perrin and to Taylor. That worked on occasion, but they could never get anything sustained on offense. And it really, and when you get down a couple of touchdowns in a game like this, in weather conditions like this, it's just not a lot of hope to come back.
We thank you, Tom Canton, for your efforts, and to Steve Lake, thank you, my friend, for your efforts. It's really been a pleasure working with you.
Enjoyed it.
Thank you to Steve Clowney and for his cooperation from Cincinnati Moeller, and also to head coach Tom McDaniels. And thanks, too, to our executive producers, Mike Larson and Lee Carpenter. J.D. DeAngelis, thank you, my friend, for another job well done. Yours truly, Scott Davis, with the play-by-play story of this game with Steve Lake and Tom Canton. We've had fun going down the tournament trail, but now the 1985 football season is over. And once more, for the final time, the final score, Cincinnati Moeller 35, Canton McKinley 11. Have a good night, everybody.
Stay tuned for Frontier Adventure on Daniel Boone, coming up next on TV 64. Then at 6, Dan Haggerty stars in Grizzly Adams.